One and done round is over in high school baseball here in South Florida and the state of Florida, and we're going to dive into it. There weren't really any surprises. There was one, but we'll touch on that in a minute. But for the most part, the quarterfinals of the regional quarterfinals in the Florida High School Athletic Association, at least in South Florida, kind of went according to script, but we will dive into that today on the Curtain Call podcast here on Man on Second's YouTube channel. Again, it's a lot of really good baseball was played, and I was able to see 3 games this past week in the quarterfinal rounds of the regional play. It was single elimination, one and done. You had to win to move on, lose, you go home. But from this point over, the regional semifinals and the regional finals will be best of 3. And we are recording this on Monday. Got a little backed up, so I didn't do it Sunday, this video. So doing it Monday when we're recording this podcast. Games will be Friday and then Saturday afternoon. And if there's a third game, that will proceed right after the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whenever they start time, about 7 o'clock. That will be the championship game. Obviously, if there's rain, they'll probably, the beauty of the waiting to the end of the week is they can make the games up on, let's say, Monday. They wouldn't play on Sunday. But let's dive into some of the formalities, some of the housekeeping here. Please like and subscribe to the Man on Second YouTube channel. Follow all our work here and hit the hype button as well. Hype is a big thing here right now on YouTube, helps grow the channel. But let's dive right in because I was able to go to 3 games. I was hoping to go to 4. Weather did affect that, and so we will right off the bat. On Friday, I was at Western, again at West Broward. They got 3 batters in. The 4th batter was coming up in the first inning. The lightning meter went off, and the game was canceled or postponed to Saturday. They played that at noon. I ended up going to American Heritage on Friday night. They did get that game in with a lightning meter went off about 6 o'clock, but didn't affect the 7 o'clock start time. And then Saturday, I was going to go to see that Western West Broward game. It was at noon, but I already had agreed to write the story from Chaminade Madonna at home against NSU University School. So that game was 3:30, but for me to fulfill my obligation and give it my best effort, I had to be at Chaminade, give my best effort there as well. And so I encourage everyone to go to the Miami Herald. I do some freelance work for them from time to time, and just check out all their fine work. Andre Fernandez, their sports editor, is a really good friend of mine, so helping him out whenever I can, I do. And so my story is there. So but here you can check the video of that game out, and that's where we're going to start today on the Curtain Call podcast. We're going to start with that Chaminade game, which was a heck of a game. And it's kind of funny because the week before, they played in the district championship game, Chaminade and U School. It was a hitter's game. The hitting dominated that game, and it was as good a game as I've seen all year. Won by Chaminade 8-7 in walk-off fashion. The rematch, as you would know, very intense, emotions running high, passion, high stakes with the season on the line. This was a pitcher's duel, and boy, was it ever. It was a great, great game. A really great game, won by Chaminade 2-1. Congratulations to Spencer Krasner, who was the starting pitcher, went 6 1/3 innings. Spencer had like he has all year. He had a dominant performance, striking out 10. And again, this was a great game, and a hat tip to Aiden Jacobs of U School, their starting pitcher, gave 5 innings, gave everything he got. Talk about a school, U School. Great job by Coach Dan Rivetto and his players for, just play hard. They're right in there. The line between winning and losing is very thin. And, to Chaminade, they were able to execute a little bit better when it mattered. But Spencer Krasner, again, he's been one of the top players in South Florida for several years. I started covering Spencer when he's a freshman at American Heritage. Last 2 years, he's been a standout at Chaminade. And we want to congratulate Spencer because on Sunday, he officially announced that he is committed to Florida State University. Whoa, whoa. So congrats to Spence. Kind of got a hint that that's where he's going because on the mound, The dugout was given the Seminole War chant, the tomahawk chop, and all that other good stuff, and so kind of got an indication that Spence, and I knew he had visited several schools. After decommitted from South Carolina, they had a coaching change, which prompted Spence to have to, do business on his end. But Spencer Krasner, truly one of the good ones in the county and the state. 6 1/3 innings, 1 run on 3 hits, 10 strikeouts. The fun thing about for the Krasner family, Spencer hit his pitch limit. I think it's 105, something like that. So he was at about 105 pitches. So he came out of the game with 1 out and 1 on in the 7th inning. And he handed the ball. He had literally handed the ball to his younger brother, Tyler, a sophomore right-hander. And Tyler got the final 2 outs to stamp Chaminade's ticket to the regional semifinals. Highlights in that game. Let's start in the 1st inning, where U School just kind of got off 2 pitches in. Isaac Rosa, he got a pitch they could elevate a fastball, and he drove it into the gap in left center for a leadoff double. So Isaac, great player, senior this year. I've covered him for several years and really enjoy Isaac and wish him the best as he moves on to college. But Isaac, real heads-up play. Ernie Aguado, a junior who's had a really good season, is really going to be one of the top guys in 2027 to watch here in Broward County. Ernie squares to bunt. He's a switch hitter. He's hitting right-handed. Squares to bunt, takes the first pitch. Third base charges. No one goes over to cover third. And then Isaiah Rosa noticed that. And so Isaiah just sees the base occupied with no one covering. He steals third. So that set up then infield in situation. Ernie chops a ground ball to first, ground out, RBI, gives U School the early 1-0 lead. Aiden Jacobs, bottom of the 1st, gets the first 2 guys out. Then a nice, real long at bat by Josh Wright, the really fine shortstop, 2027 class, uncommitted, and I'm sure it's going to be a good summer for Josh, and he'll find a really good school in the near future. But he fouled a couple of pitches off, and I think the count was 2-2, but 1-2 or 2-2. But then he gets a pitch he can handle, and he left no doubt. He hit a home run to left center. The video is on the channel as well as Isaac Rosa's double and stolen base. Those also are there. A number of they're in shorts, and in the Chaminade U School recap. That video was posted by me on Sunday, so that's getting a lot of traction. Go check out all the more specifics of that on that channel. But for now, that tied the game at 1-1. Emotions were running really high all game, and it stayed 1-1 to the 5th inning. In the 4th inning, Aiden Jacobs worked out of a jam, runner on third, less than 2 outs, got a big strikeout, and then I forgot how he got the 3rd out, but pop out or fly out or something. But he got the job done to get out of the 4th inning. 5th inning, again, got into a little bit of trouble. I think it was Isaiah Fernandez. Kind of got like a swinging bunt. It was off the end of the bat, just a soft hit that just kind of landed in no man's land between home plate and third. Aiden went over, fielded, threw on the first, but Isaiah was safe. They courtesy run for the catcher with Alejandro Fernandez, and he winds up on third. There's 2 outs, brings up Nolan Lunam. Nolan, one of the really good sophomores, class of 28 players in the county, left-handed hitter. Again, that was like an 8 or 9 pitch at bat. It was a 2-2 count on the pitch on 1-2. It was a breaking ball. It looked like it was borderline. Looked like it had been called strike 3. Umpire did not make that call. Said it was either high or outside. Not saying he missed the call by any stretch, but it was close. It was close, and obviously U School wanted that pitch. Nolan's got a really good eye. He took it for ball 2. Next pitch, elevated fastball, and Nolan Lunam turned on it, hit an RBI double into the gap in right center. Proved to be the game-winning hit. And again, all around, just a great baseball game. So hats off to Chaminade for moving on. And then I got to give one last hat tip to my boys at U School. Mark Manuel, he pitched an inning in that game. Mark is graduating now. Aiden Jacobs is graduating. Isaac Rose is graduating. Matthew Greenberg is graduating. And those guys I covered for several years. I told Mark Manuel after the game he could play on my team anywhere, at any time. I think all of them. I think Rosa could go play baseball, but he's very smart academically and wants to pursue academics. So best of luck to those. The other three, I will be playing college ball somewhere, and look forward to tracking them. And I thank all of them for all their support of the channel, and I really enjoyed covering these kids. It's the sad part is saying goodbye to the players, but again, congratulations to Chaminade. Look forward to see how they do. They now move on, and they will play on Friday at St. John Paul II Academy in Boca Raton. St. John Paul II, they are the number 2 seed over there in 2A Region 4. The top seed, True North Classical Academy, coached by my guy, Adrian Nieto. I covered Adrian when he played for the Marlins, and I was covering the Marlins for MLB.com. So, they're doing very well. We will see how they do against Palmer Trinity. That's their matchup in the other semifinal game. Again, best of 2 of 3. Let me backtrack it to the game I was on Friday night. And so we'll jump down to 4A, where I saw American Heritage face Ugali. And again, pitching has been the story. It's been the story of the games, at least I saw, and probably not totally surprising because the way the state set this up was everyone had a week off. So if you played in your district championship game on Friday the week before, you had the full week to play on Friday, then the pressure of one and done. So it allowed teams to get their best 2 pitchers even to rested and ready to piggyback off each other if necessary. So American Heritage, they would go up. They are the number 4 seed in 4A district in region 4A region 4, against Ugali, a team that has a great starter in their own right in Brock Lustig, who's a South Alabama commit. But as you see on the screen here, that's Brady Snow. And this is one of the best pitching performances I've seen all season by Brady Snow. He had to go the distance. 1-0 American Heritage prevails. Brady Snow, complete game, 7 innings, 15 strikeouts. Keep that in mind, 15 strikeouts. That means 6 outs came by his defenders, And one of them was, I think he gave up a hit, and David Saladino, catcher, picked the kid off first. So all the other outs came, 5 other outs were recorded by position players. Otherwise, it was the Brady Snow show. The Florida commit, who, again, scouts there, would not be shocked. I think he hit 96, 97 miles an hour. Would not be shocked if Brady Snow is drafted in the top 2 or 3 rounds, maybe round 1 as well. The only run in this game, folks, first inning, off of Brock Lustig. Like I said, he was brilliant in his own right. 6 innings, 7 strikeouts. Brock gets the first 2 guys out, including striking out Blaine Caballero, the great shortstop for Heritage, who's a Vanderbilt commit. And he got 2 outs. And then Gavin Ruvalcaba, one of the really good players. He's going to be one of the top 2027 class players in the county and South Florida and even the state next year. Really good piece of hitting. I think there are 2 strikes on Gavin, and you're seeing that fastball, which was really impressive by Brock. And Gavin just laces the ball between, into the gap in right center, gets a double. And then Angelo Giraldo, who's been probably Heritage's hottest hitter from the midseason point on. I think he ended up leading their team in batting average. And Giraldo's really stepped up in the cleanup role. And Angelo got an elevated fastball, ripped it up the middle, RBI single. At the time, who knew? It was 1-0 with 2 outs in the first inning. That would be the only run of the game, folks. That would be the only run of the game. And again, Brady Snow did not chance anything, just brilliant performance. Brock Lustig, brilliant performance. And, like I told Brady, I was talking to him, I said, you guys got to assume 1 run might lose the game for you. And that's the reality of playoff baseball when you're facing great pitchers right now. And every team seems to have someone throwing low 90s to mid 90s. So that any run is really, really crucial. And Brady Snow, just brilliant, like I said, and good to him. challenging now for Heritage, even though they won like 11 in a row. Their early season, at one point, they were 2 or 3 games under 500, so they put themselves in a bad spot by being the 4 seed. So now they go on the road to Merritt Island, a team that can hit, a team that actually beat Ugali like 10-0, but 8 or 10-0, I can't remember. But they didn't face Merritt Island didn't face Brock Lustig, so let's keep that in mind. So Heritage goes up there, best of 3. Let's see how Heritage does. Then the number 2 seed, Key West, they beat Satellite, so they are going to host. And then a great game on Friday night. Berlin Jesuit was the 3 seed. They went up against Somerset Academy. They're number 6 seed. And in 12 innings in the Stunners, Somerset rallied, came back, won that game 11-10. Matthew Farinas had a huge home run. Like I said, that was like 12 innings. So huge win for Jesuit. So now another tall task for them. They go to Key West. If they beat Key West and Heritage beats Merritt Island, Heritage will host the regional final. So keep that in mind if you're an American Heritage fan, that they still can play a home round before state, which will be. And by the way, I just booked my hotel for Fort Myers. So whoever's there from South Florida, I will be there to cover you guys. So now it should be fun. Looking forward. This is the exciting time. So that's how 4A sets up. Let me take it now to 7A, because 7A is where I was last Thursday, and seeing Stoneman Douglas just, wow, put a complete butt whooping on Coral Gables, 17-0. Start of the game, no surprise. The guy who I just showed up pictured, Gio Rojas, the best player in Broward County and the best pitcher, and only Jacob Lombard in South Florida rivals. Jacob Lombard of Gulliver Prep rivals Gio, and both of those guys I anticipated will be drafted in the top 10 picks in the first round. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't completely broken down the draft. I leave that to others who pretend they're smarter than me. But when I dig in, we'll see who knows what they're talking about. But Gio, 3 innings, 7 strikeouts. There was a combined 4-inning no-hitter. Drew Boyven, he came in and he struck out 2 in 1 inning. So they had 10 strikeouts and 4 innings combined. Combined no-hitter. Again, you knew it was going to be tough sledding for Coral Gables. Gio took care of business in the first inning. I actually think he hit the third batter with a pitch. It might have been the only base runner he gave up. And then he strikes out everybody else. And then bottom of the first, Cade Raley, I think he had like a 9-pitch at bat, kept fouling balls off. And Cade, great at bat, then homers. And that, I think, was a 3-run first inning. So Cade Raley really started it with the bats. And then also in the game, R.J. Ruiz homered. I think it's his 9th homer of the year. And Reed Daddick, who also is a pitcher for them, he homered. Reed had some good at-bats. He almost homered earlier in the game, got just a little under, but he didn't get under this one. He homered there. Again, videos of Stoneman Douglas at this game and Gio Rojas, that's up on the Man on Second YouTube channel. You can check the game recap. Gio at the plate, 3 RBIs, a couple of hits. Lorenzo Laurel, 2 hits, 2 RBIs. Again, production up and down the order. Stoneman Douglas is going to be really hard to beat, even though that district, that region in 7A is going to be really fun. But they're going to be really, really tough to beat. The Eagles now will take on the number 5 seed, Southwest. They beat Cypress Bay 10-1. So Eagles will host their regional semifinals on Friday and in Parkland. The other fun ones are going to be in 7A. This is going to be the heavyweight match down in Columbus. Number 2 Columbus, 12-2 over South Dade. And then, like I said, West Broward, number 3 seed. West Broward certainly has a team that can get to Fort Myers. Sadly, the weather interfered from me being able to see that game Friday, and I explained why I wasn't there Saturday. And that was a thriller against Western, 2-1 walk-off win in the 7th inning by West Broward. The Bobcats, it was 1-1. Sergio Garcia, the great junior player for them, huge 2-out hit that was the game winner. And then again, the sad part of saying goodbye. Some of the seniors for Western, and Western's a school that's very kind to Man on Second. I love them and appreciate them. Um, um, Coach O'Neill Garcia and the staff, very, very, welcoming and great players and great kids. But Gordo, Falagon, Jorge Gordo Falagon, they're really, really terrific catcher. He's graduating, and he's been really fun to cover. Get a lot of videos of Gordo. Wish him best. I'll certainly be following him. Alec Hernandez, real hat tip. Great performance in the against West Broward. He went 6 2/3 innings, 10 strikeouts, gave up to 2 runs. Certainly I was telling some of the parents at West Broward that you let Alec. If Alec's on his game, it could be a tough night, and then it certainly was. Gavin Andrew, looking forward to seeing Gavin next year. He will return, and James Gill, another really good young player. He had 2 hits. Gavin had the RBI for Western, so. Wish West Broward luck as they move on. Thanks again to Western for all of the fun covering you guys. Now let's go on to 6A. St. Thomas Aquinas, number 1 seed, no trouble at all, 7-1 over Ida Baker. Julian Diaz gave 1 earned run in 5 innings, 5 strikeouts. Nico Sabatino, just being a superstar that he is, he had 3 hits. St. Thomas Aquinas takes on West Boca Raton. We will definitely be following that, seeing how that shapes up. Doral Academy, number 2 seed, handled my guys over at Flanagan. Spent a lot of time at Flanagan. Their season abruptly came to a whole 10-0. They were no hit in 6 innings. Christopher Velasco, Doral is outstanding pitching. They're going to be tough to beat, even for St. Thomas, assuming that matchup comes. 6 innings, 6 strikeouts. Anthony Velasquez, 3 doubles for Doral. Kobe Carrion had a home run. Doral Academy now gets Southridge. That could actually be a pretty good 2 of 3. So that's how 6A is shaping up. Let's bounce over to 5A, and I will be at least one of these games at Archbishop McCarthy. They're number 2 seed. They beat Sebastian River in a close one, 2-0. Miguel Delgado, my boy, the shortstop, FIU commit. He had 2 hits. Felipe Benitez, 5 innings, 7 strikeouts. Garrett Duffy, 2 innings, 3 strikeouts of relief. And they move on, and they will get rematch with Pembroke Pines Charter. The Jaguars beat South Fork 8-1. My guy, Dean Jaworski, 7 innings, complete game, 5 strikeouts. The catcher, Jack Hernandez, good for Jack. Jack hit a home run. Good for Jack Hernandez. He came up big with a big home run there. So good for Jack and good for Dean Jaworski. They now draw the matchup again with St. Thomas. Just a week or so, 2 weeks ago, they played. Charter and McCarthy played in the district championship, and McCarthy won that game 6-4. Dean Jaworski started that, gave up 4 runs in the first inning. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm assuming Dean will get the start in game 1. He went up against Garrett Duffy, but McCarthy could go either with Felipe or Garrett in game 1. So that should be a really fun matchup Friday and Saturday. Let's go over to 3A on Saturday, North Broward Prep. Now, they're in Region 3. They're the only team down here in Region 3. So they're in a little different part of the state where they are playing right now. They eliminated Coral Springs Charter 6-4 in the quarterfinals. 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th. Alex Smith had a home run in that game. Zachary Tavares, 7 innings, 8 strikeouts. They will face the North Broward Prep Eagles will now face the McKeel Academy. And then other 3A matchup, Monsignor Pace against Cardinal Gibbons. Pace won that one fairly handily, 7-1. I was kind of hoping to see a little bit of that game on Saturday night. But again, my commitment to covering the Chaminade game for the Miami Herald kind of had me back in my old reporting in terms of writing days and more writing, less talking. And I wrote that story up, so I wasn't able to get out there and see that game. In 1A, next up for 3A, Gulliver Prep, Jacob Lombard. They will be coming to Monsignor Pace. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to get to one of those games. I'm hoping to. So we'll see. Obviously, with the who plays a decisive game will factor in as well. Let's go down to 1A. Miami Christian, 14-4 over Highlands Christian. They will get Schoolhouse Prep. 5A, Matter Academy Charter, their eligibility issues seem to be resolved. They are the clear favorites in 5A down here in Region 4 to go back to Fort Myers. They're defending state champions. They easily beat Atlantic 10-0. Brian Fernandez with a home run. Matter will get Okeechobee next. And then another one of the upsets who was over in 3A. The defending 3A state champions are the Miami Springs, and Miami Springs as the 8th seed knocked off the number 1 seed St. Brendan, and they now will move on. So again, a lot of really good action and good stuff. And reminder, it's Man Second will be there. Again, we will be there, and we will have all the action as the number of teams would dwindle down. Like I said, I'm not surprising the pitching's dominating, and for the fact that even the good hitting teams, when your timing gets off, first of all, you're facing good pitching, and then you've gone basically a week without seeing pitching. So if you're like West Broward, been really hot offensively, and then again, no credit to Alec Hernandez for shutting them down, but they're a they're a team that didn't have a week of hitting. So in this type of environment, you got to execute the bunts, to move the guys over, taking advantage of errors and walks, and that's going to help decide it. Before we get out of here, I also want to give speaking of commits, again, congratulations to Spencer Krasner committing to Florida State, and then congratulations to a player I've really enjoyed covering. American Heritage alum Zach Wilson. Zach, big part of their 2025 state championship team, actually back in 2023. Zach had the game-winning hit into win state for Heritage, 2-time state champion Zach Wilson, first baseman, outfielder, left-handed hitter, the son of Pat Wilson, who is a good friend of mine and on the coaching staff at American Heritage. But Zach, who took a gap year went to A3 Academy, and he took a gap year, and now this past week he committed to Nova Southeastern University. So congratulations to Zach. We'll be tracking, the commitments coming up and on future podcasts. Let's try to keep these more in line with the playoffs that are upon us. So again, a lot of fun covering this stuff. A lot of good baseball, and congrats to all the teams moving on. And that'll kind of wrap this one up. And we'll do this drill again next week, breaking down the semifinals. With that, again, please like and subscribe to the channel. It means a lot. All the support. This is the fun part. We want to see playoffs. We want to see the best. We want to see kids having to step up, and we certainly are doing that. And for that, again, thanks to everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch everyone